Welcome to the Sacred Legacy podcast. I am Anthony Ritchie.
And I'm Kate Brown.
Hey,
And
Kate.
hi, how are you?
I'm doing good.
I guess we should say our tagline. We're elevating stories of God's hand in ordinary lives. That's what
Yes, we are.
the attempt is here.
That's what we're hoping to do.
Yeah.
Kate, what's been going on since last time we talked?
Well, we're trying to get back into our routine after our winter break. And there's been some ups and downs. We're getting back to school. Made it 2 days, but we decided this is a good time to do like an iPad and YouTube cleanse for our 2 younger kids.
Okay. What prompted
Yeah.
that?
Well, one kid got in trouble and got it taken away, and then we thought this would be a good time to just shut it down, uh, because there's not much I hate more than just the brain rot garbage that they gravitate toward. And
Yeah, we do too.
I know, yeah, and
Sometimes.
I know that yeah, adults do it too. But I feel like especially my son who's, 9, he reaches for the lowest hanging fruit available. So whatever the thing is that's available that's just silly, that's what
I'd
he
love
wants to consume.
I'd love to tell you it gets better as you get older, but I mean, you know me, so
Yeah. I mean, I love to scroll, Instagram reels as much as anybody. Um, but I don't know, we're trying to like cultivate some different interests and just let them know you don't need a screen in front of your face 24/7. Um, but that means I am the DJ in the car now, and everyone's just asking um, for their songs, which some are fine and some make me want to jump out the window. So that's where we're at.
I believe it was you that said, pay attention, there's a whole world happening around you.
Yeah, so if they have their, iPads and they're watching them in the car because we drive back and forth a lot, we live in the country. So sometimes they'll get out and they're still on their screens, and I like, look up, life is happening. Uh, but I don't know. I know like adults can do that too. And I was just thinking like I should look at myself a little bit. And if something I'm doing is actively making me a worse person, I should get a hold of that and make some changes. um, so
Yeah, I I I feel convicted about that too. I heard uh, somebody say one time that the algorithm flattens you into a two-dimensional person with no context.
yes.
And oof, boy, that that hit me pretty hard because I have been known to do that myself. So I suppose we can give our kids a little bit of grace and also try to teach them a better way.
And try to teach ourselves while we're at it,
Right, right. Yeah. I mean,
maybe don't consume so much bad news and yeah, look
I
up
told
life's happening.
somebody
So.
I told somebody that I work with, it was a soon to be mom. Uh, I just told her, I was like, I'd love to give you like some real inside track information, but it's literally my best guess in whatever situation is ahead of
Right.
us. But the fact that you care about it enough to be concerned puts you ahead of the curve. So there's hope.
Yeah. We're all just doing our best here.
Yeah. We're
So,
not saying it's going well.
right. But we're trying. What about you? What's been going on this week?
I spent a good portion of my week trying to convince you of Cody Jink's faith because of that last episode where I proclaimed Cody knows Jesus. And so I jokingly sent you, I don't know, half a dozen songs of his where he appears to have an idea.
I did. I wasn't trying to say he didn't have faith. I think he probably does. But I did Google, is Cody Jinks a Christian?
What did it say?
Well, it said he hasn't explicitly said publicly, but there are themes
Okay.
of faith and redemption in his music. So,
And he loves his mama.
yeah.
He does indeed. Um, I'll be honest, I've been a little convicted this week. I don't know if it was, kind of the post-holiday blues
Hmm.
or maybe conviction that I just should listen to, but more about my pessimistic attitude about some of the goings on in the
Mm,
world and trying to not allow that to steal my joy because I know I really can't influence that. And so that's been going on. I don't know. It's been a good week. I've been really busy. It's not been that long since we recorded. Uh,
Mhm.
Dogs, horses, and a little bit of time at the gym, which is always much needed. And so, yeah, but it's been good since we spoke last.
Good.
Yeah. So something did happen um, that I wanted to add on about this week was you had mentioned, or we've, obviously our tagline is ordinary people and small things, and
Mhm.
kind of trying to be the hands and feet of Christ.
Mhm.
And I was actually looking at I was actually going through your suggestion of reading the red letters in the Bible,
Mhm.
the words that
Yeah.
Jesus himself spoke.
Yes.
Stumbled onto Matthew chapter 10, where he's basically given some instruction. He's about ready to send out the 12 disciples.
Mhm.
But the last verse of that chapter, Matthew 10:42, I went to the New Living Translation because I liked what it said. And it says, "And if you give even a cup of cold water to one of the least of my followers, you will surely be rewarded." And I just thought, well, there's another really good example of you don't have to shoot the lights out and, try to do this massive thing with fireworks and
Mhm.
explosions. It really is the small, um, seemingly insignificant things that really, really are important, I think, um, to help you stay connected in your walk.
Right. Right, and connected to people and what they need and meeting those needs. Yeah, that makes me think of mom. That's where she shone, you know?
She certainly did. And we hear more about that, it seems, the older we get, and we still hear more stories. And I think that's probably one of the best things we can do to remember our loved ones is to tell stories about them.
Right.
Continue talking about them, continue honoring them.
Right. And, that kinda goes into what we're trying to do, like, why are we telling these stories? And I really think it's just because of the power of storytelling, like, throughout human history, um, before people could read, they had their oral traditions, um, sitting around a campfire, we still do that, sitting around the campfire telling stories about life.
Fire is good for conversation. That
Fire good.
is oh, yes.
Um, but, like, even in our faith, like, Jesus came and, he told stories, he spoke in parables because that captures people's hearts in a different way than just, like, telling them what to do. It makes it real, it makes it mean something, it makes them see, um, what they can do in their own life. Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do.
Well,
I
you had
lost my train of
mentioned
thought. Lost my
no,
train of thought. Go ahead.
you're good, don't worry about it. You had mentioned the idea of, trying to avoid that us versus them mentality, and I was reminded, I was a little bit behind on a show that I like to listen to, uh, kind of a history libertarian show.
Mhm.
But anyway, they did a Christmas episode and they talked about the Christmas truce of 1914.
Yes, and I
During
listened to this too because you sent it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during World War One, it was one of the, it was the first war with a lot of modern weaponry, and
Mhm.
the death and destruction was at a scale that nobody had ever seen, it was just terrible. I mean, these people came from peace times to, living in a trench 40 to 100 yards from people that maybe were just like them, but they're hiding in a trench and they're shooting at each other and they're cursing one another.
Mhm.
But anyway, the story basically is about the humanity of people in that on Christmas, so you're about 6 months into the war at that time. There'd already been like 1,000,000 casualties, which is just astonishing. I can't even
Mm.
wrap my mind around it.
Mhm.
Um, but on Christmas Day, and these soldiers thought that the skirmish was gonna be over by then, they were gonna be home at Christmas, and somehow or another, they decided, there were some songs being sung back and forth, one in German, they were singing Silent Night in
Yeah, they
German,
recognized the tune and they were like, "Oh,
and
that's yeah."
so a small group of people, um, decided we're gonna start singing along, and the
Mhm.
Brits started playing the bagpipes along with it, and it
The Scottish guys started playing
Scots,
bagpipes,
sorry.
yeah.
They started playing the bagpipes, and the next thing you know, somebody decides to stick their head up and
Mhm,
basically not wave a white flag, but like, "Hey, let's just take a break," and, of course, the
mhm,
officers were furious, but a large group of people decided, "We're just not gonna fight,"
mhm,
and, decided to be humans towards one another, and
mhm.
I don't know, it just really struck me in my heart. It's like, that's a story that we can all identify with. We've never been in that position, but we are all just humans, for heaven's sake. Let's just treat each other well.
Yeah. Yeah, they gave each other gifts. They started decorating, like, their guns, right, as, like,
Yeah,
Christmas trees. Um, that's just wild. Like,
it
this
is.
person that I don't know that I've been told is my enemy is actually another human being that I can connect with. And they said they did have a hope that maybe that would change things. It didn't, but they did try.
It's an incredible story. I mean, it's unfortunate that it didn't somehow spur on, uh, the leadership to think better of it, and let's figure out how to negotiate, but, such is life. It's not like we don't see that today.
Current events, yep.
Oy.
Yeah,
Like I said, fighting the urge to be a pessimist in the moment, and
it
let's
is.
focus on the humanity.
Right, and I think it's easy to not because we can be really disconnected and someone's just a screen name and a comment on online somewhere, or you see the news and there's, people from different countries, and, um, I think we have to actively work to see the image of God, like, they were made in the image of God just as we were, and to see that humanity in them and that they're a child of God also, um and really just see that they're our fellow humans and treat them as such, not as an us versus them mentality.
It reminds me, I did not serve in the military, but I kind of understand, at least from conversations I've had with people that did, and it seems like the first idea whenever you have to go into war is you have to dehumanize your opponent because the
Mhm,
average person can't deal with the idea that the person that they're fighting is a father, a brother, an uncle, whatever it is, and so they give him
mhm,
these names to really dehumanize him. It's disgusting, but that's
mhm.
a whole other conversation, but I think, in the spirit of trying to cling to hope in spite of, whatever's going on, we need to stop doing that.
Yeah, and yeah, we can hear that again on the news, people speaking in dehumanizing ways about, um, their fellow humans, and, we're not gonna do that.
Correct.
We're gonna fight against that. Yeah,
With
I was
everything
thinking go
everything
ahead.
that we have, we will fight against that.
Yes. Um You were telling me that story, and I was thinking about, The Sound of Music, which I just watched a couple weeks ago. It's not a Christmas movie, but I always seem to watch it at Christmas time. It was probably on TV or something. But anyway, I was thinking about towards the end when they're leaving Austria, they're fleeing in the night so that Captain Von Trapp doesn't have to, serve in the Third Reich. Um and they're in the abbey hiding, and uh Rolf, I wanna hate Rolf so much because, um, he really he likes Liesel, you know? She likes him, and then he kinda turns his back on her, and then, you know, come to find out he's working for, for the enemy. But he finds them, and Captain Von Trapp stops and he looks at him, and you can tell he looks at him and sees the humanity in him, and he's like, "You don't wanna do this, like, you're young, you're just a kid, come with us," like, gives him that choice, and, when he really could have been just, getting the heck out of there. Um, and Rolf chooses to go ahead and betray them, and he makes his choice. But Captain Von Trapp, he tried, and he saw that this was just a kid who was making bad decisions and um, falling in with these guys. So
Well, and how old would you think Rolf's character was? 19,
if that, I mean,
18,
could be
17? I mean, you
we know
think
he's older
about
than 16,
yeah, I
but
mean, you think about the impressionability of a young person
Mhm,
and how powerful, psychological operation or the desire to be a part of something could be.
mhm.
I can see where you'd be conflicted, although I just can't imagine not just running away with the Von Trapp family.
I know, they're so cool.
They look
Just
like a lot of fun.
they
And
do.
I'm not trying to make light of like the story, but at the same time, you're like,
Right.
man, I'd like to think I would have decided different, but maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe I would have got captured by the
Yeah, I
theory and
mean,
the idea and the
even the adults, in that story, like, I forget the guy's name who's, Von Trapp's friend, he's like, "You have to at least pretend to go along with these people,"
uh
you know? But anyway, so
well, and all the borders changing, it's like people that were your neighbor yesterday, and then all of a sudden they're on the opposite side of this imaginary border and you're supposed to hate each
Right.
other. Like, what is that?
I don't know. Yeah, it's wild.
Anyway,
Anyway.
so let's regroup here. So we were basically saying the power of storytelling
Yes.
is why we're doing this. And to bring it back to Jesus himself, he did tell a lot of parables, which were just relatable stories. Um, so I wanted to ask you, do you have a favorite parable?
I probably do, but I couldn't you asked me that earlier, and I couldn't think of one off the top of my head, but I was just reading in John, and this is one of my favorite, like, unserious portions of scripture that I had to talk about. Um, so, the disciples, they're such, can be such 2D characters, if you're just reading your Bible and you're like, "But I wonder what they were really like because 'cause they're real people."
Hmm.
So in John 20, I love the passage where, I mean, Jesus has risen, but they don't know it yet. And like Mary goes to the tomb and she can't find him. So she runs back and tells the disciples he's not there. And John's little detail of, you know, um, I beat Peter in the foot race to Jesus's tomb.
But he doesn't even say I did. He's like the one that he loved
Right. Yeah,
outran
it was,
him.
yeah, outran him. It cracks me up. Yeah, he's talking in third person the entire time he's writing his book, his gospel, the one Jesus loved, and or he'll call himself the other disciple, but he'll say like, Peter and the other disciple ran, but the other disciple outran him.
Hmm.
It
I
just
thought it was
cracks me
really
up.
funny that you brought that up because I mean, guys are very different than girls, of course, but like friends, guy friends say some of the most horrible things to each other. And I was glad you highlighted that because I can relate to that because, you say some of the worst things as a guy to your guy friends that you would never say to another human. And so I just thought it was funny that you highlighted that. So I'm like, yeah, he really wanted to get it in there that I
Yeah,
ran faster than
I was,
Peter.
and he says it twice
Yeah. Oh
later on
yeah.
the passage. I thought that was funny. I'm sure there was a lot of like good-natured ribbing amongst the disciples, and I'm sure Jesus got in on it too because, yeah, they were all real people with real personalities. And he was like, "Well, Peter might be the rock Jesus is going to build his church on, but I'm Jesus's BFF, and I can outrun him."
and
So,
I can
so there.
I can run faster. So what do you think about that?
So it
Oh,
just
that's funny.
I love that it brought some humanity to their yeah, to their character.
That's a really good thought.
Mhm.
I'm glad you brought that up. All right.
All right, so what about you? What's your favorite, parable?
That one's an easy one for me. It's the prodigal son. Um, I had to write that down because I can't. Oh yeah, it's in Luke
Mm,
15.
yes.
But that story to me, you know, if you don't know it, basically a father had two sons, and the youngest son, who's always the favorite or the youngest, no
I
judgment here.
And
Um,
I didn't say a word.
we grew up pretty differently. In case those of you that don't know, I'm the oldest brother. We have a middle sister, and then Caitlin, who was the chosen one in the family.
I don't know about that. I think they just forgot about me some of the times. I was just
Yeah.
kind of a free range child.
Well, or they were just tired. Um,
They definitely had looser reins on me than they did on you.
that's true, and for good reason. Um, but anyway, the prodigal son, a father has two sons, and the youngest son decides he wants to get his inheritance, and he decides to go travel. And um, I don't know, he did whatever their version of Vegas was. Maybe it seems like it says he lived wild or he lived,
Mhm.
there's several different translations, but essentially he was just being a young kid and living life, and he
Blowing all his
squandered it.
money. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he squandered it all, and then he's like, what do I do now? So he has this ultimate humility moment
Mhm.
where he's literally trying to eat with the pigs because he's so hungry, and he just has
Mhm.
this moment. He's like, what am I doing? My father's servants don't live this way. I'm going to go home. I'm going to tuck my tail. I'm going to walk home, and essentially, I think beg for forgiveness. So
Mhm.
he's not going back home from a place of confidence, like he's going to be well received.
Right. He's
And
expecting, like, at least maybe I can be a servant and,
yeah, like at a
yeah.
minimum, can you just keep me fed and clothed and sheltered,
Mhm.
and I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
But what happens? You know, the father runs
Mhm.
to him. He sees his long lost son, and he runs to him. And the son is ashamed,
Mhm.
and he basically says, I'm unworthy. And I thought it was funny because I read it today. There was no mention of the father saying, I forgive you. It was immediate. We're celebrating. Bring the fattened calf. We're having a party.
Right.
It was
It
just
was
understood. I
it
mean,
wasn't even needed. Yeah.
we
I
weren't
think the
there. It wasn't mentioned in the text. Like,
Okay.
dad says, I forgive you, son. That doesn't matter.
Mhm.
We're
Yeah, what matters
celebrating
is
because
you're
you were
home.
lost and now
Mhm.
you're found. Um, I don't know. Anyway, I'm a sucker for a story about a parent and a
Mhm.
child because of how I feel about dad. I mean, heck, I told the story about the dream where I was running towards him, how
Mhm.
I feel about my own son. If this situation were me, I can totally relate to
Yeah.
if he came home, I would run through a wall to go welcome him back. So, yeah,
Right.
that's the one for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. So good. So why do we love these kinds of stories? Like, how do they touch our heart? So I'm gonna be nerdy here for a minute, resident author, and, like, talk about, um, story structure. Like, all these stories have the same sort of structure in life and in fiction and in biblical text, all of it. Um, you start out with an ordinary world, something happens where we got problems now. And the rest of the story is, how are we gonna fix this problem? How are we gonna make the world right again? How are we gonna, like, go on this journey to solve this thing? Um, so that's any story that we love kind of echoes that, right? The hero's journey type of thing. Um,
You are much more eloquent about how you uh, describe that. And this is when we talked about planning this show and this part, we were talking about, we really do need to talk about the idea of a story. That's when I realized
mhm.
everybody's going to realize what a moron I am. When she's talking about story design, and I'm like, yeah, I like good versus evil and a tale of revenge. Those are my stories. Um,
I thought you were literally gonna tell me a tale of revenge. I was looking at our notes here.
No, I mean, you think about like the Count of Monte Cristo. One of my favorite movies is V for Vendetta. Watched it the
Uh-huh.
other day. Um, Oddly enough, good line in there because we talked about
Mhm.
the pr- how personal it is for your connection to God. And Natalie Portman, when she's released from pretend captivity in that movie, she goes outside. She needs some air. It's raining, and she says, "God is in the rain."
Oh, I like
Yeah,
that.
pretty cool.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I felt pretty ill prepared to discuss story designs.
We don't need to talk about it in, like, at length. I was just saying that, uh, these things all of this echoes back to the story of God and how he made the world, and things went wrong, and the plan from the beginning was to have a rescuer to make things right again. So, anyway, that's all I had to say about that. We don't have to continue down that road, but
I do have I do have a funny story if you want to hear it.
I always wanna hear a funny story.
Okay, so this one's about dad because a lot of them
Mhm.
are. People are going to get tired of it, but I'm never going to stop. So
Yep.
get used to it.
You don't have to
Um,
listen to us if you don't wanna
yeah,
hear it. That this
skip
is what
past.
yeah,
There's a
anyway.
fast forward button. But
Mhm.
anyway, on one of our trips to Colorado, I don't know why I thought this was funny, but when we were talking about stories, this one came to me. And I was not being Christ like. We were on our way out there. It's a bunch of guys. Everybody's comparing stories, talking about who can run faster or whatever it is.
Just like the
And,
disciples.
well, not quite, but um, somebody came up that everybody in the group knew, and I called him a tool, meaning,
Mm,
it was not a term of endearment, obviously, if
right.
anyone knows what a tool is.
I think we all know what Tool is.
And dad looked at me really confused. He goes, "I want to be a tool." And I I knew he was joking, but he sounded so serious. So everybody in the whole car is like, does Bill not know what's going on here? And I
He
looked
doesn't
at
know
him
the slang.
and I said, "You know what a tool is, right?" He goes, "Yeah, it's really useful. It's got a purpose. I want to be a tool." And he set out on this endeavor to try to completely change that phrase to something that was meaningful and useful. He didn't succeed, but he tried. And I always thought it was funny. I was like, it's really
That's so
admirable, but
funny.
yeah, didn't
Yeah,
work.
that's hilarious. Yeah, I'm
I
taking
want to
back
be a
Tool.
I want to be a tool. No, you don't.
Yeah, yeah, don't
But
tell
maybe
people
you
that.
do. Maybe we should just change it now.
We can just say we're gonna be useful.
That's better. Okay.
Okay, that's funny. Well, speaking of being useful, we're talking today about, some of these unexpected connections that we make, in life and out in the world. Um, I mean, sometimes you're just going about your day and God drops a situation just or a person right in your lap, and you're like, "Well, I'm invested in this thing. This is clearly." I mean, I could look at it as a coincidence, but it's probably not. It's probably a nudging from the spirit to, you know, engage with this person or a situation.
I don't remember if it was you or me that said it, but it was something along the lines of the unmistakable feeling that you were in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
And it was not on purpose. It just
Mhm.
happened. It's
Yeah,
what
and
makes it
even
unexpected.
yeah. Yeah, sometimes you make a split decision, you're like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna do this today." And then you run into someone and you're like, "Oh, I'm really glad I decided to do that. I was, not planning on that."
So we both, I want to say this is one of the things that was a real springboard for the idea for me to want to do this, um, because of something that happened. And I want to give it as absolutely as much respect as I can. Um, and so if I come up short, I just want everybody to know this is very important to me and I want to get it right. So
Yeah,
let's get that out there.
okay.
Um, I do want you to start. The other thing we talked about before you tell yours, which is an awesome story. Um, I wrote down that connections like this solidify faith and they provide purpose in a world that is in desperate need of hope.
Mhm.
And I know yours did that for you, and I know that mine did as well. So let's start with unexpected connections.
Okay. So, I did have an unexpected connection, a few months ago, and this was with, a stranger. Anthony's is gonna be with, a more personal, connection with someone we know. But, I think school had just started, so it was in the fall, and I dropped off my daughter for preschool, and it's just half a day, so it's just a few hours, but I was like, "Oh, I think I wanna go for a walk today." And I didn't feel like going home and walking out here, so I thought, "I'll stay in town, I'll go to the cemetery and walk," which I do, occasionally. I like a cemetery walk. I don't know if that makes me a weirdo or or what, but, it doesn't bother me. I don't think it's strange, but some people might. There's
Uh,
no
you can
traffic.
pay it you can pay a visit to some people we know that were laid to rest there, so that's not
Yeah.
all bad.
I never like, we went with mom all the time to the cemetery and, like, put out flowers for relatives that had passed, and I never found it to be a morbid place. You know. So anyway, I decided to go for a walk there, and I've got my earbuds in and listening to music, walking along, and I'm just, like, reading headstones and stuff and, like, looking at names and, um, thinking about, who that might have been, and anyway, I noticed this car kind of driving slowly through the cemetery, and I'm like, "Well, that's weird." There's, normally not people there. I mean, if they are, they're visiting graves, they're not just, like, creeping along. Um, so I keep seeing this car go around, and I'm kinda keeping an eye on him, just make sure, like, everything's okay. Um, and then I see someone get out and she's looking at a grave. I'm like, "Okay." So, I kinda come towards the end of my walk, and I'm going, back to my car, and, it's near this woman, and she kinda starts coming towards me, and I say hello, and she says hi, um, and then she just starts talking to me, and, she asked me a question. I don't remember what it was, um, and I answered, and we get to just kinda visiting, and she asked if I have, you know, people there, and I said, "Yeah, both my parents, they're right over there." Um, and come to find out, her dad had just passed away, and, she wasn't there visiting his grave, because his marker wasn't set up or anything yet, but she does work with, like, Find a Grave where people are looking for their, relatives and ancestors, which is why she was driving through slowly. Um, but we start talking about our dads, and it was pretty recent for her. It was more recent than our dad, and talking about grief and the way it, just disrupts your whole life, and it's hard to work, and, um, anyway, she just clearly needed to talk, and I was like, "Well, I'm invested in this situation right now, and so I'm not gonna leave. I'm gonna, you know, let her talk about her dad," and she was just really interesting, and, um, she loved her dad so much, you could tell, and she had moved up here to be with, her remaining family, and, I towards the end of our conversation, I said, "Are you a hugger?" And she said, "Oh, yeah." And so we're at this point, we're both crying, and then we're just hugging and crying in a cemetery over our dead dads, and it was just, like, I found out her name, and, um, she actually works at a place where I see her probably once or twice a month now. So, we have a sort of a relationship where we'll catch up a little bit. Um, but I just thought those kind of connections are probably more rare than they should be, but where, I can relate to exactly what she is feeling, and she can relate to exactly how I'm feeling, and we had this just moment of connection that was, it was obviously we were both really sad, but it was also wonderful in a way, and I told her I that it's not really my nature to, you know, talk with strangers that much, but it was my dad's. And
Yeah,
he would have
yeah.
gotten a real kick about us, visiting, and he would have said, something about how God brought us together. Um, so
I
yeah,
love
it was.
I love that story. I don't remember what I said to you the first time you told me that, but I just remember thinking dad would be quite proud
Yeah, I
because
immediately got into my car, and I think I texted you and our sister and said, "I had such a dad moment just now. This is weird. Listen to this."
oh, man.
Because he was all about, like, making connections with people, and if he didn't know you, he wanted to know you, wanted to find out, who you belong to and how, you know, how you could be connected, that's those degrees of separation. So,
That's
anyway.
so awesome. I love that one. I hope that this turns out to be a recurring segment because,
Mhm.
you don't know how often this is gonna happen, but if it does, we will certainly share.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So what
this next one, um, this was kind of the springboard moment for me to consider trying to pay tribute to some things that I feel like God revealed to me that the world should hear. And that sounds maybe a little dramatic, but I did feel very strongly like at this time and still because of this event that I want to put something out there um, before I'm gone because I've always been a consumer and not much of a creator, unlike
Mhm.
my sister. But something happened. Um, it was in late 2024. My mom has a really big family. There were nine kids,
Mhm,
several of whom had passed on before that we didn't. Unfortunately, we didn't get to know
mhm.
growing up. But she had a sister, and her name is Donna. And she and mom were they actually really looked a lot alike. Very similar disposition.
Kinda 2 peas in a pod.
They were, and I don't know, before we go, what do you remember most about Donna?
Um, I remember, her laugh. It was just I don't know how to describe it, but it was the kinda laugh and she laughed easily. She could get tickled real easily, and it made you wanna join in the laughter. Like, you couldn't not laugh if
Yeah.
she was laughing at something.
It
So it
was
was just a
infectious.
joy yeah, a joyful yeah, it was.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too. So, I will say her laugh for sure, but, um, I think there's a million memories that I have of her, but
Mhm,
a lot of the ones where, you have the most appreciation for was that she and mom's other sister, they were around a lot, to help mom when she was ill, and
mhm.
I know I expressed my appreciation to them for that at the time and probably after, but it's worthy of saying, like,
Yeah.
it was a lot. They took on a lot, and so I always really appreciated that about both of them, and, but during that time, they spent a lot of time together, and they would drink coffee, and they would watch birds and
Mhm,
just be together, and, even though the circumstances were terrible, there was much laughter, there was a lot of smiles, it wasn't just like this dark time, um, and I think Donna really did a good job of that, and I referred back to, the memorial that we did for her,
mhm.
and I just wanted to say a couple things about her that was shared in her memorial, and it was that her kind and gentle spirit created a lasting legacy of love and family. She provided undivided, unhurried attention to all who came. And one of the grandkids said, anytime you left her house, you always left a little bit happier.
Yes.
And so, um, I don't know what else could be said about her that you don't get the idea of what kind of person she was.
Right. Yeah, I
So,
think her family meant the world to her, and if they were around, she was going to be, um, locked into anything they might need and helping them feel better and yeah.
so fast forward a little bit. Mom passed away in 2007, and I hadn't seen Donna in quite some time, but I bumped into her and her husband um, back in September of that year. Very
Of
unex.
of last
Uh,
year, right?
yes, yes.
2024.
2024.
Yeah.
Um, I bumped into them unexpectedly, and I kind of announced my presence in a weird way. I just walked up to him and stood next to him like a weirdo, and they
Did you
looked
make D
up.
did you make Donna laugh?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, she was confused at first, but I walked right up next to her husband, I mean, right next to him, and just kinda looking at him, and he kinda turned at me like, "Who is this guy?" And,
I don't think I knew this part.
so I said, "Hey, guys, what's going on?" And they're like, "What are you doing here?" So, anyway, I got a chance to catch up with them. We had a really nice talk, and she
Mhm.
was not feeling well at the time, but, she'd had, back issues for a very, very long time, so I just assumed that's kinda what was going on, but unfortunately, shortly after that, w within a week or 2 after that, um, it was discovered there was a lot more going on, and, so we went to see her in the hospital, you and I and our other sister. It was about 2 weeks after I had run into her and her husband, and, we went to the hospital, which was the same hospital where our mom had spent a lot of time,
Mhm.
and it was hard, but I knew we needed to be there.
Yeah, and I think all 3 of us had the feeling like, "You need to go now, while you can," and, yeah, it was we all had kind of a sense of urgency, like, "We need to go now."
So I left the room for a little while because she had quite a few visitors, and I
Mhm.
went up to the floor, in the same pretty close to where mom had been when she was there. I went up there and I sat down and I just opened up the Bible app on my phone because I was sad for a variety of reasons.
Right. I mean, it brought a lot of emotions up also, it was, just like a it was doubly hard thinking about when we were there with mom and then we were there with Donna.
But this was really out of my nature. It was a lot how our dad was, but I decided I need to go down and share some words with the family and pray with them.
Yeah.
And that has not been my nature. Um, well,
Ooh. Was this
so
after Tressa and I had left? But yeah, because I don't think I was there for that part.
no, I wish you guys had been, but anyway. Okay. Okay, sorry guys. We're back.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, we had a nice conversation. Couple of or mom's brother was there and her sister was there and Donna was there and her daughter and her husband. And we just gathered up and we prayed together and I told everybody bye and I didn't know what we were really looking at, but I felt I was troubled.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, a
S
few
and
days later, she was called home,
Mhm.
and it just sucks.
Yeah.
Bec-
There's no other way to put it. Yeah, just going through that is not what anybody wants to do.
so her memorial service was about 2 weeks after that, and I had um, experienced another dream in between
Mhm.
that time, and I decided to tell her daughter after the service because I just thought it was important.
Yeah, this was after we had gone to her service, so we were all kind of at the graveside, just visiting.
So I thought this was going to be kept between us. But I told her, I said, "Hey, I just want you to know, I had a dream about your mom and about my mom, and it wasn't a long one, but it was clear to me that they were in a peaceful place that I choose to believe is heaven, and they were sitting there drinking coffee together and watching birds
Yep.
like they had done so many
Mm,
times before."
mhm.
What I did not expect was that her brother was going to ask me to share that story at the graveside service,
Yes.
but I did. And something happened to me that day
And it's
because I
important. Yeah.
because I knew that I could do things to glorify our God
Mhm.
and help others because of the example that our dad showed us. And that's why I'm doing this.
Oh, boy. Yes. Uh, Important to note that you weren't aware that they were gonna ask you to do this, and you hopped right up there and just told this story as though you had prepared it, and, like, it just flowed and was just something dad would have done. You know, he had the gift of speaking well in front of people and, relating to them the things that were important. And I hadn't heard the story, before you shared it there, and, yeah, I mean, everyone had tears in their eyes and, the hope that that was what was really happening in real time with our mom and our aunt, that they were together again, they were at peace, and things were good again for them.
Well, we come from a long line of criers, and
Yeah.
it used to bother me, but I don't care.
I cry all the time. It's fine.
It's
It's kinda
it's
nice to be the one not crying this time. So
I thought I was gonna be able to get through it.
so thanks
I
for
don't
that.
wanna make light of it, but, you know, I do think that you had said something before, Caitlin, something about laughter through tears, and I think that's a incredible motto.
Yes, from my favorite movie, Steel Magnolias, Dolly Parton said, "Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion," and I completely resonate with that.
Yep, yep,
Yeah, we like to, yeah, have a little bit of humor in the midst of pain,
yep.
and yeah,
Yeah.
we like that.
As I look back, we have very little experience at this, but I listen, I edit, I listen to
Mhm.
what we do, and I think we have to do more of laughter. I can be real serious, and I'm like, what am I sounding like? You know, anyway.
Oh, boy. That was a little heavy, but
Yeah,
is also really inspiring, and, yeah, I think we gotta look at people and situations and, um, life is really hard, and giving people hope, um, and joy and a little bit of laughter is what we hope to do.
that's correct. All right, Kate, it is time for the closeout, accidentally spiritual for this episode. What do you have for us this go round?
Alright, so I'm gonna take a little bit of a left turn into, a little bit more lighthearted territory. Um, so, um, my kids and I, we all love a thrift store, love looking for a bargain or hunting for some obscure treasure, especially, my son, and he's a funny kid. He loves, going through the thrift store. So we were at a flea market the other day, and you actually called me at the while we were in there, and, this particular one, it's kind of maze-like. There's a lot of little booths, and some of it's just secondhand stuff, some of it's antiques, but he loves going in there, and even if he's got just a few dollars, he can find something usually. Um, but anyway, he's he's like every stereotype of a boy that it's him, like, he's rough and tumble and, you know, often he's not aware of his own body, paying attention to where he's going or what he's doing. Um, so I was in there with my older 2 daughters and him, and my youngest daughter I did not take, that particular day, which is good because I've lost her in there multiple times. Like, she loves it too, but she'll turn around a corner and she's just gone, and I'm like, "Where is she at in in this maze of antiques?" Um, so anyway, you've met her, you know how it is.
Oh, yes.
And she thinks that she's, very much Miss Independent, so she doesn't need me. She could just go do it herself.
She told
Anyway,
you were a bad mom the other day.
yeah, well, she
Golly.
says a lot of things, and I'm like, "You need to, consider your words." I love you, but my
It's
goodness.
much better to be an uncle than a
The
parent, isn't it?
sass,
Oh,
so much
yeah.
sass. Anyway, it's really hard to be a parent. Anyway, so we were in the flea market, and I had kinda lost track of Zeke, and, you had called, and I was wandering around, I was looking for something in particular, which I wasn't finding. And I'm kinda like, "Ooh, where did he go?" And we had just happened to have been at the dollar store before, and he had bought himself 2 packs of Tic Tacs, and, unbeknownst to me, had brought them in with him, and I start hearing this, like, shaking noise, and I'm like, "Oh, there he is." I found him because, he was rattling around like a human maraca.
You said I was on the phone with you and I said, "What's going on?" You're like, "Oh, I can hear Zeke in the other aisle over there. He's like a walking maraca."
It's just like, there's a Seinfeld episode where Elaine purposely gives that guy that she works with Tic Tacs in his pocket so she can hear him coming and he doesn't sneak up on her. Anyway, so that's my plan, anytime I take them there now, everyone's getting Tic Tacs for their pockets. Um, it was just a silly story of,
Divine
uh,
providence.
yeah, the Lord has covered my failings as a parent. Sometimes he throws me a bone, and is like, "Here, I mean, you're in desperate need of help. Let me, you know, let your son's presence be known by these Tic Tacs."
That's beautiful. I love it.
That reminds me of, do you remember when I was little and mom put bells on my shoes?
I totally missed that one.
Because
I do
she
not
I mean,
remember.
apparently my kids come by it honest because I would take off and she'd lose track of me and she'd follow the sound of the bells on my shoes in the house.
I'm the opposite. My wife, I scare her all the time. Like she thinks I'm a ninja, and I'm like, I just
Mhm.
walk normal. And the other day, I walked in and I thought she heard me come in the house, and I mean, she panicked, scared, and I was like, "It's me. I live here.
Have you
Hello."
met me before? That's funny. Yeah. I don't know. That story really has absolutely nothing to do with anything, but I thought it was funny and, it did meet a need that I had in that moment.
I think it's great. All right. I guess I have
Alright,
to share one.
what have you got today?
So this one happened today. Um, I was at work, and my partner at work, I had told her a story about it was a dark humor thing that's probably doesn't need to be shared on here, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we have a similar sense of humor, and
Yeah.
even in those dark times, we've found something to laugh about.
Yeah. So we don't want to be monsters, but we have an understanding amongst the two of us.
Mhm.
Uh, but anyway, I was talking to my partner at work, and I had told her the story, the dark humor story that won't be referenced on here. And she said, "That's really funny." I don't remember if she saw a reel on Instagram or if she had read a story, but it was about a family who had a family member that was on hospice, unfortunately. And they were cutting up and still, trying to make lemonade with the situation. And they went to the nurse that was taking care of their parent, and they said, "Hey, we're sorry, this is a little off color. It's just kind of how we are."
Mhm.
Kind of feeling almost like bad about it. And the nurse uh told him, she said, "Please, please don't feel bad. I can't think of a more beautiful way um to send off your loved one than to hear their children laughing."
Mhm.
And I just thought, Hmm. That's, uh that's really cool because it's not meant to be insensitive. I just thought it was a unique perspective, especially from somebody that has been around that situation so many times,
Mhm,
that they recognized, "Hey, there's not a better way to honor your loved ones who have gone before you than to tell their stories and laugh and still find some joy in life."
mhm.
And so
Yeah,
that
and I
was
mean, yeah, you think in that line of work, every day's a hard day, you know?
takes a
So,
special person.
yeah. So it probably is, it does give a moment of relief to hear some laughter.
I
Yeah,
agree.
and grief comes out sideways and it's weird sometimes. Um, so sometimes things you would normally find funny, you think are hilarious, and it's just like, "What is even happening right now? I can't stop laughing." Um, but I think it's just the complexity of human emotions, and you feel so many things all at once, and, yeah, laughter through tears, it happens.
And if you find yourself on the other side of that, just try to extend some grace to another that's going through a difficult circumstance in a
Right,
different way than you.
right. We all experience things differently.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Well, Kate, I enjoyed it as I always do. I think I think we've got to a point where we're right at the cut time. So I will say it again. I love you, sis. Thank you for making some time, sharing some laughs, and I love doing this.
Yeah, it's been good. I love you, bub, and, thanks everyone for joining us.
All right, let's talk soon.
Okay, bye.